What's going on, guys? My name is Albert Benitez. Today we will be discussing how to get rich quick. And the first rule that you gotta know, that you gotta understand on how to get rich quick is that there is no getting rich quick. That's all bullshit, guys. This is not clickbait. This is not financial advice. This is simply a video that explains certain financial techniques, tips, and tricks. And of course, do your own research. There's tons and tons of content out there nowadays with the internet, Google, ChatGPT. You have the ability to access any piece of information you want immediately at your fingertips, right? But let's get right to it. Basically, we're going to be talking about income and assets, expenses and liabilities, general finances, long-term investments versus short-term investments. For those of you that are interested in the stock market, that know a little bit about the stocks, we'll talk about day trading. We'll talk about reading charts, a bit of gambling, how to pick the right investment, as well as evaluation and portfolio allocation, right? Again, guys, this is not financial advice. Strongly recommend that you do your own research. Again, there's an incredible amount of content out there. Most of it is free. I'm sure you can pay for them, but you never really know what sucker is really trying to sell you a course, or pay $9.99 and take my 12-week get rich quick theme. That's all bullshit, guys. There's no way to get rich quick. Simple as that. People can say, oh, you win the lottery, or you got lucky, or it was inherited, but that's a very, very small majority of people, very, very small portion of people. Most people, the way that they do it is they spend less than they make, they save money, they work very hard, and that can be that's open to interpretation, because what one person might think is hard, somebody else may not agree with that. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, so I have experience in the business industry as well as in psychology, with emphasis in behavioral analysis. I've been running 3 successful businesses for quite some time now, and any sort of content, any sort of information that I can share with you, hopefully give you guys a bit of knowledge. At the very least, when you guys finish this video today, you'll be leaving with something, some sort of content, some sort of piece of data that in essence you didn't have, and it could be a positive influence in your life. Well, I'm happy to do that, and that's my function and my purpose here today with this video. So let's start out with income and assets. Okay, guys, income basically is anything that you do in order for you to make money, right? A lot of people have a job, right? Whether it's a 9 to 5, others run a business, others might trade stocks, or others might sell shoes, or they work as auto repair technicians, right? You could do a series of things that classifies as making an income. But in essence, an income is something that allows you to receive money in order for you to pay your bills, right? You could be extremely good at what you do, you could love what you do, you could hate what you do, but ultimately, you and I have the same bills as everybody else, right? Tomorrow you don't pay your light, and guess what? They're cutting your light, right? Same with your house, whether you rent, whether you own it, you pay the mortgage, whatever the case may be. You have to work to survive, at least the grand majority of people, and to a certain extent, up until a certain point in time, right? Hopefully, as you age and as you mature and as you grow your wealth, you're able to scale back on the efforts that are required to contribute to that sort of income, and you're able to better gauge how much income you need depending on your lifestyle, whether you have a 2-1 apartment, whether you have a 4-4 home with 3 kids and a wife, right? It all really varies and depends what your goals are and where you are in life. But in essence, an income is something that puts money in your pocket. That is also what an asset is, right? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. It's something that you own that allows you to create that income. So if you have a house and that house is paid off, and you rent that house, for $2,500 a month, that house is an asset because it's putting $2,500 a month in your pocket, right? If you work as a mechanic and you make $1,000 a week or $1,500 a week or whatever the case may be, that is an income, and you in essence are the asset, and your time is the asset, because you're indirectly bartering and you're changing your time for money, whether that's in the form of actually being somewhere and doing something, providing some sort of product or a service, manufacturing something, but in essence you're trading your time for money. Now as you advance and as you get older, the goal is to be able to make money while you minimize the amount of time that you've invested, and also be able to utilize your time, and while you're doing other things, have some sort of vehicle that allows you to make money for you, right? Whether it's a stock investment, a dividend portfolio, whether it's a business, drop shipping, right? There's a series of things that you guys can do, and there's tons and tons of research that you guys can look into and find out and see what would be best suited for you. The next subject we're going to talk about here is expenses and liabilities. So the opposite of income and assets, right? Expenses basically is anything that takes money out of your bank, whether that's food, car, rent, housing, bills, emergencies, vacations, right? Anything that costs you money, that takes money out of your pocket, is an expense. And a liability is basically something that you owe. Going back to the example of the house, if you have a house and you have to pay $2,500 a month to, whether it's the landlord if you're renting, or if it's a mortgage company, that house in essence is not an asset, it's a liability, because it's costing you money to live there and to own that house, right? A lot of people say, the American dream is to have a property and live it and work hard, and yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but the reality is that as long as that property is costing you money, no matter how you cut the cookie, it's a liability, right? It's taking money out of your pocket. Anything could be considered a liability so long as it's money's coming out of your pocket. That's pretty self-explanatory, guys. Basically, first two sections: income, you make money; expenses makes money for not expenses assets makes money for you; expenses takes money out of your bank; and liabilities is something that you owe based on the money that you have to pay that also comes out of your bank. Now, general finances, guys. General tips and tricks for finances is the next subject, the next topic. It's pretty simple, guys. Basically, there's a couple of rules of thumb. Please feel free to stop at any moment in time of this video if you want to make notes, research things. Again, we're simply just having a conversation here. This is a video, very informative, and you guys do with it as you see fit, right? My goal and my objective is to be able to provide you guys with this information, and then you guys take it from there. Spend less than you make. It's an easy concept to say. It's an easy concept to put into practice, but you actually have to put it into practice. Try to stay out of debt as much as possible, right? If you see that you guys have a certain habit, you guys like nice clothes and you put it on credit, you like to go out to eat, so you order DoorDash or Uber Eats, or you go to a local restaurant and you pay with your card. If you're going into debt to do any of these activities, you're already 1 foot in the wrong direction, right? You're basically taking a step out the door and you're putting yourself in debt, right? You're exchanging indirectly, whether you realize it or not, you're exchanging your freedom to be able to do something that gives you a momentary pleasure, and ultimately you're going into debt for it. Now, there's some of those that say, yeah, but if I put it on my credit card, and if I have the money, again, if I have the money in my bank account and I can go ahead and put it on my credit card and then pay the credit card, sure, that totally works. But there's a lot of people out there that may say that simply don't have the discipline to actually put that into practice, and thus go ahead and get further into debt. If you are one of those people, again, you don't have to, give me a phone call or let me know. You don't have to write in the message. You don't have to do anything. Basically acknowledge to yourself that you're one of those people and you need a bit more discipline. And sometimes in order for you to get better results, you have to take extreme measures. So my advice to you is if you owe any credit cards right now and you're trying to get out of debt, basically take your credit cards and cut them up. Only use cash. And you're gonna tell me, yeah, but how can I survive? How can I live? You gotta sit down. You gotta make a budget. You gotta stick to your budget. And again, there's plenty of books out there. There's plenty of resources out there. There's one guy that I watch a lot on YouTube. His name is Dave Ramsey. A lot of people think he's kind of conservative with the topics that he discusses and his methodology, but ultimately they are realistic principles that are effective, that work, that so long as you put them into place, you too will get the same result. Do a lot of research on him. He I think he's a wonderful guy, and I really do appreciate his content and all the knowledge that he's able to share. Right, I think that's important. So yeah, basically, guys, with finances, you got to spend less than you make. Easier said than done. You try to live below your means. Create some sort of a savings. Ideally, anywhere from 3 to 6 months of savings is what you want, right? You write out your budgets and a car, light, housing, food, whatever other expenses that you have on a monthly basis, and slowly but surely attempt to create some sort of a savings, some sort of a cushion. You're able to do that a lot better the minute that you're out of debt, right? So let's say you want a new TV. New TV came out, 50-inch TV, high definition, super nice, whatever it is, right? It costs $1,000. If you don't have the money and you still have a TV in the house, maybe right now is not the time to go ahead and put a TV on a card, right? You got to think and take a look at what would be the best scenario that are better aligned with your current goals of getting out of debt and essentially being financially free. Now we're going to go ahead and discuss long-term and short-term investments. Once you're able to understand the income and assets part, the expenses and liabilities part, and you're able to really sit down and be honest with your finances and take a look and see, what you need to improve on, what you're overspending on or what you're underspending on. And again, guys, creating a budget doesn't necessarily mean that you need to put yourself in some sort of limitations or a restriction. It simply means that you need to budget for what you want. If it fits in the budget, do it. Let's say, oh yeah, but now I can't go on vacation. Who says that? Right? Maybe initially while you're getting out of debt, you may have to reduce the amount of vacations you take. But ultimately, once you're out of debt, you can slowly but surely work your way on taking a vacation, whether that's a trip in the States, a trip internationally, whether that's a cruise, whether that's a road trip to another city, whether you want to go to the beach and stay a couple days at an Airbnb, whatever the case is. So long as you're able to budget it and it fits within your means, there's no reason why in that budget you can't have a line item that says $500 a month or $1,000 a month, vacation, and then ultimately you decide whatever kind of vacation you want to take, whether you take it once a month or whether you take one every 3 months. And if you save $1,000 every month for 3 months, come 3 months you have $3,000 to take a vacation, whether that's a couple days or a week or all inclusive, whatever you guys want to do. You got to put it in your budget, right? Once all of that is into place, your budget, you got your finances straightened out, you have your savings straightened out, you have all your expenses accounted for, you have a little bit of money in the bank, right? You can now look into long-term and short-term investments, right? When I'm talking about investments, the goal is in essence to utilize your income-making abilities, whether that's starting a business, working for someone else, having some sort of income to utilize those funds and put them in a vehicle that will grow and that will allow you to look at the long-term trajectory of your life. Long-term investments would be taking some of that money, and I personally am a big believer in the stock market. This has nothing to do with any sort of political situation. It's simply history, simply data, up and downs of economies and different presidents and whatever the case may be. The stock market, specifically the S&P 500, has shown quite a successful annual return. I don't have the numbers here in front of me right now. You guys can go ahead and do that research. But it's very promising. Within 20, 30, or 40 years, looking at the long-term outlook, you take money and you put it slowly but surely. You put a couple bucks every week. If you can't do it every day, that's fine. Do a couple bucks every week. Doesn't have to be a major amount of money. And by the time you look at it, come 20 or 30 years later, your money has compounded and has grown exponentially. For long-term, what I would suggest is if you don't know anything about the stock market and you don't want to go and cherry pick companies, you don't want to pick Apple or Google or Nvidia or anything of that nature, you're not really interested in sitting down and analyzing it, it's very simple. You pick a basic index fund that follows the S&P 500. Depending on how broad or how specific you want to be, you guys can do some research. I'm going to give you guys a couple of symbols, and it's very simple. You go on, you pick a broker, whether it's TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, Ally Invest. There's a series of them. Charles Schwab, pros and cons. Some of them are better than others. Some have fees. Look into them. Again, do a little bit of research. We are in the age of being able to have all the information we want at the tips of our fingers. And if you clicked on this video and you stayed this long, thank you and congratulations, because you are on the path of being financially free. Again, this is all data, and the more you know, the better you'll be able to be equipped and be able to do well in your life. So, in essence, what you're gonna do is go ahead and open up an account and take some money every week and invest in an S&P 500 index fund. A couple of those are, and take a note if you guys would like, some of those are VOO, VOOG, SCHG, the S&P 500, which is the SPY. You have the MGK, which is a Vanguard index fund. You have VTI. You have FXAIX, which is a Fidelity S&P 500 tracking index fund. Basically, what these funds are is a compilation of a series of companies, 200, 300, 400 plus companies, right, that comprise of the major companies within the total stock market, depending on how broad you want to get, how specific you want to get. And they have shown a consistent annual return time and time again that will eventually allow you to work your way towards your retirement and being financially free. This is the long-term play, guys. Some people like to be a little more conservative as well and like to in their older years utilize stocks to collect a payment. So a lot of people buy what are called dividend stocks. In essence, dividend stocks are stocks that will pay you out depending on the parameters that they have, usually once a quarter, once every 3 months. Some of them pay you out once a month, depending on the type of investment vehicle that they are. But there's a certain fixed amount. It's not a fixed amount. It's a percentage that they pay you out every year, which is quantified into a dollar amount per share that they pay you. So I'll give an example. If you own 100 shares of SCHD, which is a Schwab dividend payment fund, they'll pay you, something like 50 cents per share every quarter. Sometimes it goes up to 51, sometimes it goes down to 48, 47. It all varies and depends on how those companies do in the stock market that year. But in essence, it's another way of being able to collect some sort of passive income while keeping your money safe and allowing it to continue to grow. Now, in the short term, if you want to be a bit more, a bit riskier, a bit less conservative, you're into the stock market, you love researching it, you understand how candlestick charts, patterns, technical analysis, all of these things work, then yeah, you could definitely take a portion of your funds, a portion, not the whole thing, right? It's very easy to just, a lot of times they say YOLO, you only live once, just YOLO your funds and throw all that shit in there and just pick a stock and fuck it, wherever it goes, it goes. That's not recommended, right? A lot of people will do it. Some people are successful, and those that aren't successful, they simply don't share it, right? They take that loss and they don't say anything. So you got to be real careful about who you listen to and who you follow, and what those people say, because a lot of them won't show the losses. They'll show their, I had 100% gains and I had these super wins and I bought these risky option calls and whatnot. Quick disclaimer, if you don't know anything about options, good, stay out of it. Most of the people lose money. Very, very speculative financial instrument. It's just run, guys. It's options never really go well. Very, very few make it. You got to be extremely lucky. It's like a lottery. But if going back to that, if you feel confident, you could take a portion of your investments, 5%, 10%, no more than 20%, and you can pick a handful of stocks, right? You can pick for example, there's a series of stocks called the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7, which are some of the largest stocks in the S&P 500. Those 5 stocks would be Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Tesla, Google, and Microsoft. Those are the top 7. They're major companies. There are a lot of companies that most of the public, whether you're a hedge fund, you're a trader, you're a regular person, they feel very confident in the products that they make, and the services that they offer. And by the same token, they feel strongly that these are a great investment vehicle and that these companies won't go out of business anytime soon. They'll continue growing, they'll continue expanding, whether it's that's cloud space revenue, whether it's ad revenue, new Google Glasses, the metaverse. There's a series of different routes of revenue that these major multinational corporations are utilizing to invest in. And a lot of people feel very strongly with those stocks. So, they, instead of buying the fund, which does have a portion of those stocks, a small percentage of those stocks, they just go ahead and buy those stocks outright. But you never know. I mean, look at companies here like Kmart, like Sears, companies like Pan Am, that people have never thought that they would go out of business, and they went out of business. Major companies, billion-dollar companies, Enron, right? You don't know until something like that happens. So it's very risky. Don't recommend it. You guys can do it if you'd like. Cryptocurrency, for example, is highly speculative, highly risky. A lot of the younger generation likes cryptocurrency. They think that it's the digital dollar, or digital gold, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe. I have a small portion. I call it the what if fund, right? So you got 2 ways. It could be what if it goes really well and you're able to make a good amount of money, or what if it goes really shitty and you lose all the money. Whatever you put in there, you basically have to decide mentally that, hey, this money that I'm putting in there, I've already lost it. It's gone. It doesn't exist. The minute I put it, it's like throwing it away. And if there is some sort of return later on down the line and you're able to capitalize on it, magnificent. If that asset goes to zero, because in essence, there's really no value to some of these assets and some of these meme coins that are coming out now, you only lost what you put in there, right? So be kind of smart about that and be very mindful. The next topic, again, we're getting a bit more specific now here. It has to do with stock day trading. Day trading, basically, in summation, day trading is utilizing funds to trade on a daily basis to buy a stock, predicting if it's going to go up or if it's going to go down, and then being flat or being out of that position by the end of the day. Highly risky, highly speculative. A lot of people lose money because they don't realize it, but there's a large portion of market manipulation there by the hedge funds who have billions and billions of dollars and computer quantum analysis, and they do tons of research, and that's their job, right? That's their livelihood, and that's what they do, and they're good at it, and they spend the resources, and they do the data analysis, and they sit down and they do all these investments. So you're already going against the trend there. If you're looking for financial freedom, if you're looking to be able to retire, rich or richer than you are now, wealthier, highly recommend staying away from day trading. Very, very small percentage of the people make money on that and actually do well. It's really considered like gambling, right? Which leads us to our next topic, gambling. Gambling, whether it's sports betting, whether it's blackjack, craps, poker, slots, whatever it is, I have yet to meet a rich gambler. They usually lose it all because gambling there's a very fine line between gambling for fun and then gambling becomes an addiction, right? Just like anything, alcohol, food, shopping, clothes, work, religion, all of these can be addictions. But gambling is one of the most dangerous ones because it slowly but surely drains you, and you get a high on, not even when you win. Psychologically, there are studies showing that there are parts of your brain that activate that you get a high when you think that maybe there is a possibility that you're going to win. It's like a lottery ticket, right? In psychology, that's called variable reinforcement. So you don't know when you're going to get that trigger. So it's a constant what if, and that in itself is what releases the dopamine in the brain that actually says, hey, shit, I like this feeling. I want to chase this feeling, and I want to see where I'm gonna get, and see maybe I'll win. And if I win, wow, I made it. I'm gonna chase the jackpot, or I'm gonna take down the casino and I'm gonna win all this money. No, you're not. Get your head out of the clouds. You're full of shit. It's not gonna happen. Don't do it. You're gonna lose all your money. Strongly recommend against gambling. Try to stay away from it. Right? Gambling and options are a no-go. Picking the right investment and evaluation. So some people invest in stocks. Some people invest in shoes. Some people invest in cars. Some people invest in Pokemon cards or baseball cards or houses, or pick something, learn about it, understand about it. Some people invest in businesses, right? Pick something that you're good at. Try to understand as much as you can about that specific subject. Do your research. Don't get into anything speculative. If you've never been into collecting mint coins and you have a buddy that collects and trades rare coins, don't get into that. That you probably will not have the same type of successes as they do have, right? So, but you know a lot about cars, or you're into rims, or you're into sunglasses and you're able to buy and sell sunglasses or shoes. A lot of people, guys, there's a major market in the resale of shoes, right? It all depends on what you view as the right investment. In my case specifically, I like to invest in myself. What do I mean by that? I mean by learning. I have a saying, if you're not learning, you're losing. You got to try to learn every day, because with society nowadays, the world continues to go and continues to move, and you either move with it or you fall behind, right? So I believe in investing in yourself, whether that's YouTube videos, audio books, books, school, whatever you define it, whatever you define school as, learning, courses, things of that nature. I believe in investing in yourself. I believe in the stock market and picking certain investments, long-term, short-term, some a little bit more riskier than others, depending on any sort of disposable income that one might have. And then I also believe in investing in a good business, right? If you're not a business owner, it's not for everyone, but typically when you are a business owner, if you put the time into it, you put the work and the dedication, and you're mindful and intentional about the things that you do and the product that you offer or the service that you offer, try to be mindful of the client, and again, try to create the best possible product. Don't bullshit anyone. Don't try to scam anyone. Just be honest, be direct, be friendly, guys. Try to put yourself in the customer's shoes and try to see what sort of service you can improve, right? I'll give you guys an example. During the pandemic, there were a lot of companies that flourished. Yes, a lot of companies closed, but other companies flourished because they were fulfilling a need. And now as of the making of this video, we're in 2025. And a lot of those companies are here to stay. Companies like Uber Eats, companies like Instacart, companies like Zoom, DoorDash, things of that nature. Amazon, right? Basically, They provided the solution to people either not being able to or no longer wanting to leave their home to receive a product or a service, right? That they'll come to you, whether it's a infusion IV drip or a masseuse or a car wash guy, or I have some barbers that actually come out to you and cut your hair wherever you are. They'll either come in a little truck and it's fully equipped, right? They provide a service. It's a convenience, and because of that convenience, they're able to get ahead and actually provide a need, right? They take your problem and they solve it. So if you can form a business, find a niche, and I know I've said it 3 times or more already, guys. There's tons of research out there. Please pick one. Do some sort of business that you like. Try to find a service or a product that you think would be useful in the masses. Do a little bit of research. Get a feel for it. Try to get some public feedback and kind of go from there, right? If you're able to improve your skill set, whether that's marketing, whether that's business management, whether you need to get a degree or whatever it is, guys, just go ahead and do it, right? You're delaying your own progress. Most people aren't going to push you to do it because they really just don't give a fuck. Whether you do it or whether you don't do it, it's your problem, right? So if you don't like your circumstances, or you want to improve it, or you're not happy with your income, or you hate where you work, or your boss is a fucking asshole, whatever the case may be, you can go ahead and change it. You just have to want to change it, And this isn't like, all this, you're a slave to the system and get out of the matrix, and it's none of this bullshit. Like, it's very simple, guys. You gotta pick and choose what you want to do. You gotta be mindful and intentional of where you're going, and just go ahead and do it, right? Jump and figure it out. And guys, that's basically the get rich quick. That is how you can get rich quick. In summation, manage your expenses, spend less than you make, try to create a product or a business, solve a need, invest in yourself, try to learn, stay away from gambling, day trading, options, anything of that nature. Utilize the stock market to grow your wealth, right? Your time right now, most of you watching this video, utilize your time in exchange for monetary funds, in exchange for money. So you're utilizing your time as a resource. The only problem is you have a finite amount of time. You and I and everybody else has the same 24 hours in the day, the same 7 days in the week, and the same 365 days in the year. It's what we do with those days and how we allocate our time that matters. This doesn't mean, you need to work 20 hours a week and, sleep 4 hours and sleep on the floor of the factory like Elon Musk. That's not, guys, it's not practical, right? That's what works for some people. They'll do it and they go all the way, but fuck that. It's not sustainable, right? So you got to do something that fits fits within your goals, within your parameters, within your needs, with what you're looking to do in life, with what your long-term pick is. And yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you guys for joining me with this video. Please feel free to follow, like, and subscribe. Really appreciate all the support. Stay tuned for more content. This is one of the first videos that I make, but it certainly will not be the last one. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If I could be of some sort of help, or you're not sure about something, or you need some sort of advice or guidance. Again, none of this is financial advice, but feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.